This week we witnessed how Danish diplomacy destroyed Donald Trump's dream of annexing Greenland. Denmark basically said, nope, you will not get Greenland for your 80th birthday and the 250th anniversary of the United States as you plan to do. Denmark is a small nation, and when the President of the United States threatens to use the most potent military in the world against it, well, it's a big deal. And to make matters more complicated, it's not just a malign enemy threatening to conquer lands. It's your best friend and ally who suddenly turned rogue, menacing and evil. In fact, we in Denmark refer to this crisis as the biggest one since the Nazi occupation in 1940. But this crisis has actually become a masterclass in how facts, diplomatic alliances and calm leadership can beat raw pressure from an expansionist, fascist-turning United States. In this video, I will show you exactly how Denmark and Greenland pushed back and silenced Trump, Vance and Rubio on this matter. I'm Stephen Nikander Højlund and I'm a Danish political science PhD. Let's get into it. Let's start with the moment Denmark and Greenland choose to stand together. It's January the 13th. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen stood side by side with Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen. Their message was simple and united. Mette Frederiksen kicked off by saying, "Borders cannot be changed by force, a people cannot be bought. Small countries must not fear large countries." That sentence was not just aimed at Donald Trump, it was aimed at the international community and addressed the entire world order built after World War II. It's about invoking what is essentially the morality and reason of world leaders. It reminds everyone what a cruel and bloody world we would have if every state, small and large, just started picking at its neighbor's territory. Subsequently, Greenland's Prime Minister made it crystal clear that Greenland and Denmark are standing united. He said, if forced to choose between the US and Denmark, Greenland chooses Denmark, NATO and the European Union. This was a very important statement as Greenland's position on this matter has been somewhat wavering due to internal politics and mixed messaging. These messages were delivered just as Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen and Greenland's Foreign Minister Vivian Motzfeldt boarded the aircraft to go to meet US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The position was clear: no rift exists between Denmark and Greenland on this matter. As this meeting took place, everyone in Denmark and Greenland sat in front of the TVs and followed along. This was the first top-level face-to-face meeting after more than a year of social media clashes. In the meeting, they talked for more than 2 hours, and after the meeting, every single gesture and smile was interpreted. But when Lars Løkke Rasmussen fist-bumped the Danish ambassador, the meeting clearly went as planned. Afterwards, Lars Løkke Rasmussen addressed the media. He said that any concept that ignores Danish territorial integrity and Greenlandic self-determination is completely unacceptable. But he also said that a high-level working group would discuss the matter and keep the conversation going. In other words, the matter was shelved and stored away in a working group. The Danish red line was clearly drawn in the sand, but that's not the most important in my opinion. Lars Løkke Rasmussen also participated in an interview later on Fox News. Here he repeated the message and listed a number of facts that are very interesting. First, he addressed Trump's lie that Greenland is under threat from Chinese and Russian boats. No Danish nor NATO intelligence has seen a Chinese warship in Greenland for about a decade. Russian ships are also not sailing by Greenland because currently there is ice. They sail north of Russia, and a few, less than 100 Russian ships are currently just sailing north of Russia where they can sometimes pass, and that number has actually decreased. No ships, no submarines, no hidden armadas. And Trump don't want Russia as a neighbor, he says, but Alaska and Russia are only 55 miles apart, and Greenland is not neighboring the United States anyways. On top of these facts, Lars Løkke Rasmussen added that Denmark has committed $15 billion in Arctic military capabilities, and the 1951 security agreement between Denmark and the United States already gives the US extensive military access in Greenland. Despite that though, the US has reduced its forces from 5,000 to only 200 personnel in Greenland today. If Greenland is already protected, what is the real reason for wanting ownership due to security concerns? Meanwhile in Denmark, while Lars Løkke Rasmussen was talking on Fox News, 2 Danish C-130 Hercules transport planes started airlifting military equipment into Greenland. Also at the same time, the Danish Minister of Defense announced that Operation Arctic Endurance was to start immediately with the participation of European allies. France announced sending military units and German equipment started touching down in Greenland. Sweden and Norway prepared deployments of senior officers as well. The purpose altogether was clear: deterrence. It's currently about making the cost of taking Greenland by force as high as possible, even if the US could do it anytime they wanted. Imagine what it would look like in the history books. American soldiers killed attacking the NATO ally, a US gunship shot down, civilians killed in the streets, French, Danish and Swedish soldiers captured by US forces. Those images would be a wrecking ball into American self-perception. But most importantly, the message was clear from Denmark's NATO allies. Denmark is not standing alone. NATO stands behind Greenland's sovereignty. That is how a small country turns an alliance into power. This is the benefit we get from our taxpayer money pouring into defense spending. Deterrence against hostile countries like the United States of America, essentially. In the aftermath of the meeting, there was some silence from the US camp. JD Vance and Rubio didn't comment on the meeting, and it was only on the 16th, one day later, that an official announcement came from Caroline Leavitt. She stated that what was in fact agreed on the foreign minister meeting was to continue working on how the USA could acquire Greenland. So the lies and the circus continues, and we are back to kindergarten and Trump having his second childhood. But unfortunately for Trump, it's too late. The game is over and NATO allies have chosen side. It's Denmark-US 1-0. This was a textbook execution of diplomacy, checkmating an erratic leader with no strategy, only power. The bluff and lies were called out on Fox News, the home turf of Donald Trump, and only a small minority of Americans wants to take over Greenland anyways. We have witnessed unilateral pressure against Allied solidarity around core international UN values. In the end, a working group was created between the US, Denmark and Greenland, but I don't really think it will hold a single meeting, to be honest. The USA has no cards at hand right now to play, only a military intervention that will destroy the NATO alliance, the most powerful security guarantee in the history of mankind, that is not exactly bringing security to the United States. Even though Trump and his allies think that US is the only thing really worth talking about inside the NATO alliance, just remember that the standing armies of the other NATO countries are actually twice as large as the US Army. So how will it really bring security to the United States to opt out of NATO and take Greenland? For sure, Trump doesn't really care about NATO. Already in 1987, shortly after his Moscow visit that was arranged by the KGB, he wrote a piece that was negative towards the alliance. So his plot of taking Greenland is just completely been stripped out of any logic, and I think it will be very hard for USA generals, brass and US Congress members to really back this up. Let alone, I think it's going to be really hard to bring the US voter on board on this. Despite all this, we live in dangerous times and allies' trust in the United States is diminishing by the day. I know it from my work in a large Danish corporation when the American spying factor was considered when buying software, for example. And we have seen Canada and other allies turning away from buying American military hardware. On the intelligence front, Britain has limited the sharing of intelligence with the United States in the Caribbean. And I wouldn't be surprised if future meetings are held without US presence due to the security risk it poses. The true face of the United States of America is showing now, and it's an ugly one. somewhat similar to Putin's face, in fact. But let me ask you, do you think this matter is over by now? How do you think the US will continue its pursuit for Greenland? Or should we say Trump's pursuit for Greenland? Let me know in the comments below. I would also very much appreciate if you like and subscribe to this channel. Until then, stay safe and remember to fight fascism wherever you see it. Take care.